More about what's going on in Feeding Hands. We're currently serving about 220 families a month. And we remind ourselves every day at Feeding Hands that we are to do it with empathy and care, because each of these guests that come to us has a story, and each of them is loved by God, just as you and I are. Our care and our empathy shows up in so many ways, but let me just tell you one story of what happened just this week. There was a man who came in who was in that chasm between becoming disabled and actually receiving any benefit from this disability that would enable him to actually live indoors. It can take a minimum of 2 years to access disability Social Security, which is what you and I pay into. It comes out of our check every week. And 2 years is the minimum. In that place of waiting, there is no safety net aside from your own savings, your family, or your own private disability insurance policy. God told of this through Solomon in Proverbs 10:15. The wealth of the rich is their fortress. The poverty of the poor is their destruction. The man was about 40 years old and well built. He was about 6'3". Carrie can attest to this. He was hurting in so many ways. He described to Carrie how after working his entire life, he was injured a few years ago on the job. He told us he lost his marriage, his house, his friends, his church, and his dignity. God, through Solomon again, in Proverbs 14:20, said, "The poor are despised, even by their neighbors." And this man experienced that. He had undergone back surgery. His hand was in a sling. His employer cut off his disability almost 2 years ago. He's about to lose his apartment. He looked at Carrie and I and said, "I have no idea what I'm going to do." He says, "I don't want to resort to illegal activities." That's the position he's in. We told him he needed to go back to social services where they had denied help in the past. And he compared county social services to the old DMV. All of you remember the old DMV. With the victims being lost in a sea of frustration and denial in a totally uncaring environment. You need to know, you hear there's a safety net out there, but you need to know, church, that the government safety net people talk about is too often does not appear. And as a result, individuals, families crash and burn before it ever appears. God, again through Solomon, said, "Blessed are those who are generous, because they feed the poor." We listened, we empathized. We provided some hope through referrals. We told him where he could go to perhaps get help paying his rent. And then we brought him out to pick out his food. He was selecting his produce when we came out with some pre-cut fresh vegetables that were in our refrigerator. And Carrie demonstrated how we care when she said to him, "These are perfect for your one-handed operation," because he was in a sling. I didn't see it at first, and when I saw that, I said, "Wait a minute, we have these other things that will help you, that you could eat, this other produce." And as I said that, he began to cry uncontrollably, and he fled to the sanctuary and sat down in a pew. One of our other clients who was sitting there reached over, because she understood what he's going through, and just gently touched his shoulder. And Tony, our Tony, went and sat with him and consoled him and prayed with him. God encouraged us as his followers in Solomon, in Proverbs 19:17. "If you help the poor, you are lending to the Lord, and he will repay you."